When we first found out that we had to make a game with map, we had no idea how to design an innovative and creative game that uses the Greentown campus as a map. We sat down with our laptops closed and brainstormed different concepts of games we could create with this map. At first, we thought of making a game where the aim was to escape the school, but we decided that this wasn't a good idea because the aim of this project was to make the school a better place. In the end, we decided on a game where the aim is to reduce stress in the school. We then wrote out an action plan, which had the first step of going around the campus and noting down different buildings and their stress levels. We also took pictures of different spots on the campus. Once we finished, we created a map on ArcGIS, as well as drawing out our map on poster paper using bullets and labeling the stress levels.
The basic concept of our game comprises of three main principles: stress, happiness, and work completion. The objective of the game is to complete as much work as you can without stressing yourself out. If the stress is way too high, you can do things to reduce it. The map's utility in the game is to help travel to different locations and look out for many obstacles that may be in the way. The supporting materials in our game contain only the map and a few game pieces.
For example, if you are feeling relaxed, you can either go get a new assignment from a teacher, study for a test, or even carry a cup of hot chocolate from the dorms to the canteen to raise your stress levels. Okay. However, on the other end of the spectrum, if you are feeling stressed, you can play ping pong with your friends, go to the gym and work out, or take a piano lesson with Mr. Karena, or you can choose to push through it and study harder, but that will cost you in happiness.
Our first idea was to have our players try and escape school by completing different tasks and overcoming obstacles. We spoke to Mr. Kinzer about this idea, and he asked for us to change a few things. The aim of this GAMap is to improve our community, and Mr. Kinzer feels that having players try and escape school isn't going to give them a positive attitude on school. We then decided on our second and final idea, having players try and reduce stress levels to win. They still need to complete different tasks, such as talking to teachers or going to certain places, but we feel like this is a somewhat accurate representation of school life in general. This is why our game we will have a stress level bar to show how stressed the player is at that current time. Austin also suggested we add a work bar. When the work bar is full at any given time in the game, the player's stress level will reduce.
Throughout this process of mapping, from planning, mapping, to designing and developing the game concept, we have learned many important lessons. During the planning and investigating stage, we learned how to be resourceful and think critically. It was good that Mr. Kinzer gave us so little instruction so that we could learn to explore ourselves. To solve problems we encountered, we had to look at a variety of different sources, for example, ArcGIS and online forums. At the same time, we had to think critically to find ways to solve these challenges. During the stage of game design, we had to learn to think creatively. This game had to be unique and not just a plain old boring board game. So we had to think outside the box to design and develop a unique and interesting game concept. Throughout this process, we also had to learn to deal with our frustration. As mentioned above, Mr. Kinzer gave us very little instruction, so there were times when we couldn't figure something out or felt like our ideas were not good enough. We couldn't give up when we felt frustrated and had to realize that sometimes getting a good idea takes time. You have to keep thinking about it.
When producing our GAMap, we met challenges and had many highlights in the process. The challenges were having to stay on task and focus, not to be distracted by other things that other teams were doing. Figuring out the stress levels of different parts was the main challenge, because we didn't really understand the GYS campus enough to label the stress levels. The highlights of creating a GAMap were the divisional work. We set out around campus in pairs of 2 to map out definite areas. We got to know the different buildings around campus and their coordinates. Creating an ArcGIS map was difficult because many members in our group did not know how to use this website and application. So it was our first time. We helped each other to accomplish the outline drawing of the web map. The main highlight was getting inspiration and ideas from John Hunter's World Peace game. It helped and pushed us forward into completing our game and concept.